Hi friends, it's Aarti. How are you all doing? This is my first post-chemo video. Um, so I wanted to give everyone a bit of an update in terms of what has been happening. The last video I filmed was pre-chemo, and up to that point I had really no idea what chemotherapy is like, had certainly tried to watch videos, read up about it, but I don't think anyone can tell you exactly what your experience is going to be like. So here's my experience. Got to the hospital fairly early. They check all your vital stats, make sure that you're not pregnant, make sure that your blood pressure and there's no fever and any of those things, and that you are in the right fitness level to be able to handle chemotherapy. And after all of those test results come in, then they put you into the infusion area. And at Sloan Kettering, obviously a very, very well-run facility, they have individual suites for each person, and you're allowed to have one guest, and there's space for a nurse, and you're hooked up to a monitor. So they immediately put me on saline, so to make sure there's enough fluids, and set up my IV and all of that. Found a good healthy vein. So far everything was going well. Then they start by giving you some pre-medications, which are things like Benadryl, and that is to just help you prepare for the chemotherapy and just to prepare your body for any of those reactions that could happen. After about an hour of the pre-medication time to kick in, then they started me on the actual chemo drugs. And this is the R-CHOP therapy thus far that I'll be doing. And so starting with the C, H, and O portion of this, one of the medications, one of the chemo drugs that was given to me is nicknamed the Red Devil. And it's literally a red colored chemotherapy. And the very sort of freaky thing about it is you can actually see it going through your veins because your vein turns red. And I've even heard people tell stories that it actually can fry your veins. I think that happens more in older patients who have thinner veins to begin with. And I don't know if it's more like a individual reaction. I didn't feel it frying my veins or anything, but you can certainly feel when that goes in, it sends like a surge through. It's like more like a tingling sensation. And so the chemo drugs went in one by one. I did have to ask for some anti-nausea. I also asked for some Ativan, which is like a anti-anxiety medication, but it also helps with nausea. So once I was given that, I felt a little bit better because I think there's also like the whole mental anxiety that, you know, your first chemo, you have no idea. The nurses were super attentive. They're in there all the time. They keep checking your heart rate, your temperature, and everything is constantly being monitored. My husband was with me the whole time, and quite frankly, I didn't really feel like I wanted to do anything else except just go into my hole. And so I had my noise canceling Bose headphones on, like I wasn't even watching anything. I just put the noise canceling feature on so I didn't hear the beeping. My only recommendation to people, or my one recommendation to people that are doing this, is try not to look at the monitors and listen to the beeps, because every time a monitor beeps, you know that there's going to be something that the nurse is going to come in to check. Doesn't mean anything is wrong. So those beeps can actually cause anxiety. There's no need for you to look at, your heart rate and your blood pressure. I mean, the nurses are on top of it. So I just blocked it all out. I listened to some classical music. I wasn't really up for watching a Netflix series, but had some music on, tried to block things out, was taking deep breaths. And after the chemotherapy was put in, when I was done with that, it was then time to start the Rituxan, which is the final part, which is the R part of the R-CHOP, and that is the immunotherapy medication. For people that don't know, Rituxan is made of half human and half mouse DNA. So while it is one of the most innovative medicines that has come out in the last 10 years for the treatment of blood cancers, it's also has a lot of side effects right during the time of infusion. So the reason the first chemotherapy is very long is because the Rituxan is given in very, very small doses and over a longer period of time, just to make sure your body takes it and doesn't have very severe reactions. And people report very severe reactions, like to the point where they feel so much inflammation that they can't breathe. So I was being very, very closely monitored. They started very slowly. I'm only taking deep breaths because I'm just getting tired. So there's no other reason for that. Feeling fine, just very, very tired. But anyway, so Rituxan was given. The Rituxan administration took 4 hours. But I have to say, touch wood, touch wood, touch wood. I was handling it pretty well. The nurses didn't observe any major, what they would call a point where they'd have to stop. I started to feel nauseous. I got a headache while they were administering it. The nausea really sort of, kicks in. I was given anti-nausea medication. She stopped the Rituxan, gave a bit of anti-nausea, started the Rituxan back. But my only, the thing that kept me going is if you don't finish your Rituxan infusion, then you have to come back and you have to go through the whole thing again of coming back to the hospital, doing the whole process again, the pre-meds and sitting. And I just, as much as I can avoid going back to the hospital and into the chemo chamber, I would like to avoid it as much as possible. So I just put in all my willpower and strength to make this work for me. And thank God it did. I got through it. It was a very long day. It was a 9 to 10 hour total treatment. And nausea, extreme fatigue. That's really what I would describe that first day as. And then there are so many medications that they send you home with, and so many that you have to kind of keep with you in case you get symptoms. The ones that I knew I have to take are the steroids, and there's one given for GERD, which is like a gastrointestinal reflux disease. So very common with chemotherapy to cause a lot of digestive issues, particularly in my case, since my cancer is the most active around my digestive system. The most amount of work the chemo is doing is there, and therefore the most amount of damage is happening there. So I obviously have to be very cognizant of what's happening in my digestive system and how I'm feeling. After that came home and was just sitting around. It's one of those days that you just have to kind of write off and say, this is your chemo day. I was really grateful to be done with that. It was the first experience, and just like with anything else, you know, when you have no idea what it's going to be, there's this whole anxiety around it, and it was not a good experience, but at least then I knew what it was, and I was thankful that I was done with. So I'm done with 1 out of 6. Yay! So that was Thursday. And then Friday was a little bit sort of off and on, still fatigue, a little bit of nausea, nothing too earth shattering, just, you know, tried to take it easy. Saturday was a little bit more nausea, but nothing unmanageable. And then Sunday, you know, starting to have moments where you feel good, and then suddenly you realize you're not as good as you think you are, so then you have to rest. Today is Monday, and today I decided that I wanted to go out, and I just didn't want to be cooped up all the time. So I went with my husband and daughter to buy some coats, winter coats for my husband. In New York today is a good 10 to 15 degrees below freezing. So maybe not the smartest thing to do, but you know, we Ubered there and Ubered back and all that and went to a store. But even going up and down stairs and elevators, I guess I didn't realize how tiring how tiring just those basic things are when you're doing chemo. Nevertheless, it was good to be out. It was good to get fresh air. I'm wearing my wig. I don't need to wear it right now. I still have my full head of hair. Underneath, of course, you guys may have seen on Facebook that I did chop it all off, but I haven't lost hair yet. But I'm just trying to get used to the wig, so I'm wearing it. And the only other thing that I'm actually forgetting to mention, and it's actually quite important, is they put a Neulasta shot, which is like it looks like a plastic, and they put it either wherever you want it, essentially. But I got it on my stomach area. You can also get it at the back of your arm. And what that does is 27 hours after your last treatment time, it injects a medication inside your, it's targeted for your bone, and that is for your body it stimulates your bone to produce white blood cells. So the thing with Neulasta is that some people actually feel like there's immediate bone pain. Some people feel it comes after a few days. It's for that specific reason, because the day after chemo, your white blood cell count is going to drop to almost nothing or very low. And they want to make sure that you have some resistance in your body. So I did that. There's some amount of discomfort in my bones that I've started to feel. Overall, I would say nothing unmanageable thus far, but this is only the first cycle, so I know it's going to be cumulative. I know it's going to probably hit me more, but for now, it's okay. My other second advice, aside from make sure you have really good headphones when you're doing chemo, is hydrate, drink liquids. Even if you feel like you're bursting at the seams, just keep drinking as many liquids as you can. Non-caffeinated, obviously, but you know, water, any kind of juice, anything, cranberry juice. It could be an antioxidant. It could be filtered water. It could be flavored water. I just have read so much, and you know, drinking a lot of water to get the chemo out of your body as quickly as possible is the pretty much only thing you can do to minimize the side effects. And of course, it doesn't mean that the chemo is not working. The chemo's gone in, it's doing its job. Your job is to keep drinking so that it doesn't stay in your body and just cause you a lot of side effects. So I haven't been perfect about it. I think by saying it on this video, hopefully it'll make me drink more, but I think this is just really important. So that's it. The update has been longer than I thought it would be. I'm surprised I've even made it this long without passing out from just, it's tiring to talk. Anyway, we'll update you guys maybe in a week or so, but so far so good. Thank you again. And thank you for your support, your love, your prayers. Every single bit of support helps. Thank you so much. Ciao.